Hey, Dr. Gene Clerkin here with Monadnock Natural Health, sharing weekly tips on how to live your best life and create a blueprint for wellness. We've been speaking about creating change and positive change in our life and creating our best life. I want to talk today about presence. And before I get into that, let's talk about stress. Everybody knows about stress. We have stress. It's damaging. In the stress physiology, when we get stressed, what's happening is we're thinking about what may happen in the future, or we're replaying in our mind what happened in the past. Kind of like when we're watching a movie, like a thriller, and something happens and we get startled. It's not real, it's just an illusion, but yet our body responds as if it's real. And the same thing happens when we're having the conversation in our head. Our body responds as if it's real. We go into this stress physiology. Our resources get tied up in survival. Our brain works differently. And this is important because in stress physiology, we have less access to the frontal cortex. And the frontal cortex is the area of our brain that helps us to create change and do different things in our life. And when we're in stress mode, we can't access that. It's much harder to make change. And so one of the things that we can do is become aware of our lack of presence, or aware of that conversation in our head. So 3 basic tips to help create more presence and less stress in our lives. Number 1, pay attention to your thoughts. When you're having this conversation, sometimes you notice you're having a conversation, right? The more that you can notice that conversation is going on, as soon as you start noticing the conversation stops, because you can't notice the conversation and be in the conversation at the same time. And so the more you are the observer, the less the conversation happens. And the more you do this, the more you tend to have more time in the present moment than in the conversation. Okay? The second thing we can do is pay attention to the details. Like if you're getting in the car, what does it smell like? What's the temperature? What does it feel like in the seat? What does the steering wheel feel like? Pay attention to all the little things. You're walking up the stairs. What does that feel like going there? Or the sounds, the sights. When you're paying attention to what's happening in the moment, there's no room for the conversation in our head. Sometimes I'll drive home a route that I've maybe taken 100 times, and I'll just pay attention and start looking at the little details, things I've never seen. Even though I've driven by 100 times, I've never seen, like, oh, that little shed outside that house and that little bush there and the tree. And you pay attention to the details. Again, it forces you into the present moment. And the more time we can spend in the present moment, the less time we spend in stress. And finally, stress manifests in our body. Whenever we're experiencing that stress, we're actually experiencing it in our body. And if we can start to pay attention to that too, it's another tool or a gateway for us to become more aware of what we're doing and how we're doing it and how to stop doing it. So one of the most powerful books I ever read was The Power of Now by Eckhart Tolle. It's a bit much for people, but you can keep it real simple, be more present. People meditate. That's one way of creating presence, but sometimes it's hard to just sit there and not think. So if you can focus your attention, because we can only focus our attention on one thing at a time, that's going to help bring us into the present moment. It's going to help relieve stress. It's going to help our body physically and physiologically, but it's also going to help our brain work differently, so we have much more ability to make change in our life. So I am Dr. Gene Clerkin with Monadnock Natural Health. I hope you enjoyed the content. If you do, please like this video and subscribe to our channel, and you'll get more. Check us out at monadnocknaturalhealth.com for more information, or leave some links below as well. Have a great day.